No hand wash should smell like the fragrance of the ocean breeze. Like, what even is that? Or no hand wash should be pink or green or whatever other color is out there. It's all adding to that toxic load that your body then has to try and process and detox from every day. And there's no amount of saunaing that is going to detox our bodies from this amount of chemical overload that we're putting onto ourselves every single day.
Hi there, welcome to Finding Space with Alex Tyson, the show that celebrates the everyday legends who put in the hard work to become who they want to be and live the life they want to live. For people who understand that when we practice compassion and find wisdom within ourselves, we find success and happiness. Join me in hearing amazing stories from everyday individuals who have found incredible personal and professional growth through varied and, at times, wild methods of self-improvement and self-responsibility, and through their unique perspectives and work, have gone on to better the lives of those around them. From nurturing health to growing your wealth, or enjoying the present to crafting your future, no aspect of life is off topic. Tracey and Jo, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's an absolute pleasure to have you both back on. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Last time we had an awesome conversation around kind of toxins and numbers and chemicals in foods, which I loved, by the way, and is one of the podcasts that I recommend regularly to people when they're getting into that space. They go, Alex, why are you looking at the ingredients like that? And I'm like, because there's more numbers than there are ingredients, right? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, listen to this podcast. Yeah. But today we're talking about toxins in the home, because that in some ways is just as impactful, right? In our overall health and well-being, especially over the last couple of years. We're spending a lot of time at home.
Yeah.
And although we're out of COVID now, that's still a trend. I'm working from home. You guys are in the home office right now. And our environments shape the output of our health and how we feel. And we're often unawares of what's impacting us in a good way or in a bad way in our environment. You guys are obviously really into this space. You're very proactive with your health. And I guess, what does it kind of look like to you guys to be proactive and look after yourselves? And how do you kind of start to change the things in your home to better serve your well-being?
Can I go first?
Go.
All right. So when I started, I'll go back in time. So we've been personally living additive-free, toxic-free as possible, and we're not perfect. I want to make that clear from the very get-go. I think perfection is impossible in the world that we live in. I still go out of my home. I don't live in a bubble. So when I'm out of my house, there's a lot I can't control. But what I can control is what I can, and that's what I do. And so in my home, I control as much as I can. I will also just add in there, currently as we're recording this, I have a 22-year-old and a 19-year-old daughter that still live at home. And I have less control over them as what I would like, and what they go out and purchase with their money. They both drive, they both work. And, I have less control of what I would, I wouldn't buy some of the things that they buy. Let me put it that way. But that is their choices and their things. And the thing that I think I want to get across today is it's about empowering us as much as possible so that we can make those choices and we can go out into the community, and I can raise my daughters and my children, and they can go out and make the choices. And so over the past seven years now, Jo, I've started living this additive toxic-free lifestyle and learned what becoming proactive is. I had no idea what that even meant. I don't think 7 years ago. I think I just I lived a life, and I was in the military. We had my husband was in the military, and we just did things, and we camped, and we did heaps of fun things. We just lived these great lives, and I went to the doctor if I got sick. And then when I got sick, I actually have quite a serious thyroid condition. I had Graves' disease for many years, and I just relied on the medical system. I had no idea how to look after myself in that respect. And over the course of learning about additives in food, and that's all thanks to Jo, and learning. It leads you down this path, I guess, of opening up to this whole other world of these other things that are out there. And the more you learn, the more you can't unlearn. And then the more you learn, the more you want to go and keep learning, right? So, well, for most people anyway, or certainly was the case for me. And so when I had my thyroid condition, and I still have it, right? But I don't have Graves' disease anymore. That's a whole story in itself. But the more I learned and the more I implemented, and then the more changes I began to see, it became really apparent to me quickly that I was taking this control. I was starting to empower myself. I was making these changes and seeing results in my well-being. And when you have a thyroid problem, if mine's underactive, you're normally really tired, really sluggish, your skin's not great, your hair can fall out, you lose your eyebrows sometimes. There's a whole lot of serious things that can happen with thyroid issues. And this wasn't happening for me. And when I went about a year and a half ago, I found this amazing doctor, and he's very holistic in his approaches, and uses a very good mixture of traditional and other alternative bits and pieces out there. And he was the first doctor I've had a thyroid condition since 16. I'm currently, as we're recording this, 47. The first doctor in my entire, however long that is, years, that said to me, what is your lifestyle like? What do you do in your home? What products do you use and what food do you eat? And when I said, actually, I was like, oh, I can answer this. I don't use anything chemical in my home. I'm so excited. I've changed all these things. I don't use toxic ingredients. I'm really very additive free. He said, well, because your blood test is telling me you should be really sick and probably not really getting out of bed some days. And here you are, like vibrant, you're glowing, your skin, your nails are healthy, like all these things that I shouldn't have had were all, I was feeling great. And he's like, this isn't matching. Like, what are you doing? And that was to me when I was like, oh, this is what being proactive in healthcare means. This is what it means. And I started shouting it from the rooftops on our socials. I'm like, this is what being proactive means, guys. You've got to get on this train because this is amazing. So that's, in a nutshell, my sort of reasons for being proactive and why it's so important to me to teach my kids and anyone listening about that proactive. Just get on it, like start taking control. And there's so many things I do now to be that in that proactive space.
Yeah. And it's being that, like, in that sovereign state of like, I'm the only one who can ultimately heal me and look after my body, right? I can get advice from here, there, and pretty much everywhere now, but ultimately we're the ones in control of our environment, what we put in, and the decisions that we make that either lead to better health or perhaps our health declining, you know?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. It's so empowering just being in charge of it. And I'm on medication, don't get me wrong. It's a holistic version of medication. And, but all the other things that I do, means that medication is the lowest it is. It's, it's something that even if I forget to take it for a few days, I don't have any major side effects from it. Like, if I'm not taking it, like, not recommending people don't take their medications if they're prescribed by their doctor, but you know what I mean? Like I forget, and I, so yeah, it's literally life-changing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's some real insight to what you said too, is like, when you have kids and maybe they perhaps don't make some decisions that you wish they would make or whatever it might be, but we're not perfect, and having that leniency, I think, is really important sometimes, because we can easily, like, especially when we learn about something, like we talk about like toxins in the bathroom, for example, and then it's like, oh my God, like I need to change all this stuff. And then we get in our head if we perhaps go away somewhere and there's not good options or whatever that might be. And it's like, that's okay. Right? Like,
exactly.
it's okay to not be perfect all the time.
Yeah.
It's the kind of the repeated behavior that makes the difference. It's not like the one-offs every now and then.
That's right. And sometimes you feel it too. So I'm Jo, by the way. If you're not watching this video, then you're hearing two different voices.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, like, we're sisters. We obviously grew up together in the same family. And yeah, we did not live an additive-free lifestyle growing up. Although in saying that, we weren't probably too bad. Mum did a pretty good job with home cooked meals and things. But when it came to cleaning products and body care products, our mum was a hairdresser, and like there was a lot of poison going on in our house.
I actually hate to think how much impulse, because I feel old, but impulse was a thing, right? You know,
Yeah.
It was like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, being proactive was not a thing when we grew up. You got sick and then you went to the doctor. You didn't not try to get sick.
But even, and I'm not dishing on mum and dad, but even right down to seeing a physiotherapist, mum and dad were like, oh, I don't need to see those people. Like, you know, whereas now we're like, oh no, I'm out there at the osteopath, out there at the chiropractor, out there at the, you know, again, you know, so even that upbringing was, oh no, they're a bit hippie for us, you know, like kind of.
Yeah. I remember when I was 15, I got glandular fever, and I actually got it really bad, where I ended up in hospital for 10 days, and they thought they'd have to put a tube in my throat so I could breathe. Like I was very, very, very sick. Yeah. And that was the first time that I can remember, and maybe even the only time actually, where there was a more holistic approach to trying to get me better, because glandular fever is a virus. There was nothing that antibiotics or anything like that was going to do for me. I did have to ride it out, and I did have to heal. And that, I do remember mum taking me to, must have been maybe a naturopath. I actually can't remember, but I do remember having all of these supplements to take. And I think that was about the only time in my life where that happened. But guess what? I did eventually get better, and I was taking, like, I remember I had them all in pill boxes, and I had all these different things. But my kids, that's now really, my kids don't know no different now. It's all right, like, let's have these to try so we don't get sick. And if they do get sick, it's straight with the essential oils. It's straight with what can we do for gut health. My daughter's quite hormonal now, and she's sort of at that age where she's just starting to get into womanhood. And it's all about, okay, well, let's help these hormones naturally. Where I just feel so excited for my kids. They probably don't feel it, but I feel excited for them that they're growing up this way, and hopefully they really know different. Let's try the natural approach first, and then if we need to go to something a bit harsher and harder, then we'll go there if we have to.
Yeah, totally. I love that. So let's go through some of the areas of the house, if we can, you know, like, and get a bit of a tour, and maybe let's talk about, like, what are some of the things that are typically in those areas, and then maybe some things that we can replace them with. Because I think you guys explain this stuff really well. I don't. I just say to my friends, no, I don't use that fucking shampoo. Of course I don't. Right? But you guys are good at talking about it. So maybe let's talk about, like, maybe let's start in the bathroom. Like, what are some of the things that we typically see in there that we want to avoid, and what are some things we can replace them with?
I mean, obviously we're women, so I'll talk from what I would use pre living additive-free, and then maybe after. And again, not perfect. I still do have hairspray in my drawer. But makeup, hair products, perfumes, they're probably the biggest things. For men, it would be colognes and body sprays. Deodorant actually is in the bathroom.
The average woman has about 130 toxic chemicals on their body when they leave for work in the morning. So if they work in a corporate environment, they're putting makeup on and doing their hair, about 130 toxic chemicals just before they leave home in the morning.
Yeah. The good thing is now, I've seen even in the supermarket way better choices than were ever been available in the past. So it's not actually even hard to make these changes. You don't need to be in the kitchen creating all the DIY deodorants and all the DIY things. Like, yes, that's amazing because you know exactly what's in them, but there are options available. It is a matter of just figuring out and understanding which ingredients to look out for. And the biggest ones that I would say, fragrance or perfume, it will say on there. So your synthetic perfumes, anything from any department store on the Myer, the supermarkets, chemist warehouses, all of those places. Any of those perfumes are going to be synthetic and man-made, and none of those are going to be good for your health, I promise you that. So anything with fragrances in it, those fake fragrances, if it doesn't have a little asterisk that maybe says essential oils, and even then, unless you're actually paying a pretty decent price, you're probably paying for a synthetic essential oil, which is same as a fragrance. So fragrances is probably the big one, and that you will find that in probably nearly everything in your bathroom. Even the things that say, here's a really scary thing for you. A lot of people buy no fragrance things thinking they're doing the right thing there as well. The amount of chemicals they put into products to remove fragrances is just as bad as the amount of chemicals they put in to add fragrances. So even if you're purchasing something that says no fragrance or fragrance free, they've probably tortured that product to to get it to be fragrance free, because most things have a fragrance.
And that's a big one with people with skin irritations, is they generally buy something that's fragrance free because, you know, they don't want to flare up their dermatitis, eczema, whatever it might be. But
yeah,
you just don't know like what is actually in there.
Yeah. So the things that we've swapped it for, Jo's actually in a doTERRA jumper today.
Yeah.
Good branding, Jo.
No, let's roll with it. I want to hear about the doTERRA blend.
Essential oils, guys. I mean, found space. Sorry.
I keep saying eye health as well. You have to forgive us.
That's all good.
The swaps for those, they're available. You probably won't find them in the supermarket. Although, but that being said, deodorant, there is some brands of deodorant in the supermarket now. And I'm talking my major Woolworths, and we're in Hobart for anyone that doesn't, you know. So Hobart, our Woolworths aren't as big as some of the other ones out there in the country. So and we seem to be able to find them here. IGA stores are often a really great place as well. So sometimes your smaller branded stores are a great place to shop for additive-free things. They often stock smaller brands and those more personal brands that have a better care for people than the big corporation brands. So there are available, but hair care bars, the soap and shampoo bars are sometimes better, not always. So obviously going to keep reading your ingredients. And even body wash, to DIY your own body wash is so fast though. All you need is literally Castile soap and water. That's actually all you need. You can add fragrances in via essential oils, which I do because I love the smell of pretty things. But really, at the end of the day, you could just literally make it with Castile soap and water.
What's Castile soap?
So Castile soap is, there's a few variations of it. Some use palm oil, some use an olive oil-based product. There's one that we've just discovered that's made in Melbourne, actually. It's called Dr. Planet. It's 4 ingredients, and it's made in Victoria and using 80% Victorian ingredients, which I love that it's all mostly done in Australia. And the ingredients that they can't source out of Australia, that we just don't grow here. So, you know, that's impossible to source from Australia. So anyway, Dr. Planet, I really like them. We've just started using that in our home. And it's basically a soap made from olive oil.
It's olive oil, coconut oil, something else in there.
I'm guessing the fact it's called Dr. Planet means there's no palm oil used.
No, they don't. There's other brands that do. And I know that they use sustainable palm oil, but yeah, we've really been really excited to try this new Dr. Planet one that we've only just discovered. So
cool.
And I think it's a brand new product out there. Anyway, so yeah, you can, if you've got Castile soap, and you won't find that in the supermarket, so you will need to source that from a whole food store or a health food store, or online, which is what we do. And you can pretty much make anything with Castile soap for your bathroom. You can wash your hair in it. You can,
great dog wash.
It is a good dog wash. It's amazing. It's a really multi-purpose product. So you can use that to clean. We use that to clean our entire homes. We'll talk about the laundry. But yeah, in your to clean my bathroom, I use all DIY products, which is really easy to do. What else in your bathroom would you swap out?
What about toothpaste?
Oh, good one.
Yeah, toothpaste is a good one. The other thing, just before I get onto toothpaste, was I was thinking, like, I know you said about fragrance, but that is so broad.
Yeah.
So think about things like your sticks, like your
reed
diffusers. And,
yeah.
you know, like your fragrant reed
your toilet
diffusers.
sprays.
Yeah, or like the blue thing that gets stuck to the side of the toilet bowl that's meant to clean that. All of them stink. Anything that stinks has fragrance in it.
Even sometimes toilet paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you get the bin bags.
Yes.
You get bin bags now that are like lemon scented.
Yes.
And they're freaking horrible.
Yeah.
We got sent a photo of bubblegum scented tissues. Like, oh, that actually made me like nearly vomit in my mouth. Like I was like, bubblegum scented tissues. Are you serious? Like what?
But I've bought eucalyptus ones before in the past, and that's just artificial fragrance, eucalyptus in your tissues. Yeah. So anyway, toothpaste, yes, definitely you don't be needing a coloured toothpaste. Oh my God, I saw Dad's the other day and I nearly died. It was bright blue. I'm like, what are you doing? And I mean, then there's the ones that have like the stripe red and blue, green stripes through it. Anything like that is it's not right.
No.
And also there's a lot of artificial fragrance in toothpaste, and titanium dioxide.
There's a lot of toxic stuff
is often found in toothpaste as well. So we try to go a more natural one. I think it's bicarb based. Grants is what we use as of today's date. It's additive free. I don't really like giving out brands because ingredients can change. And yeah, really, that's the one I buy from the supermarket.
Yeah, there's 2 or 3 in the supermarket. With kids, there's a brand that, and again, hopefully the ingredients are still all right, but with kids, there's one called Jack and Jill that you can find in most supermarkets.
Yeah. I had to stop buying that because my kids were...
Grants, the brand is Grants, and even the Eco Store one is generally pretty good as well. So there's a few in the supermarket. Again, it's just a matter of looking at those ingredients and understanding them. The brands that I love are the ones that actually list all the ingredients. The brands that I avoid are the ones that tell me what active ingredient is in there. Because if you're only putting your active ingredient, to me, they're hiding something and they're secretive and they're all about the profit. If they're not open and willing to disclose their full ingredients listing, I don't actually want to buy from a company like that. I want to support the company that gives me the power to choose what is healthy for my body, and by listing all the ingredients out there. So that's another really good way to look at it. On cleaning products, there's no law in Australia to list ingredients. So you will often just find an active ingredient on cleaning products and you won't know the other 98% of the ingredients in that bottle or spray can.
Isn't that just insane that they can't? Insane. Like, man, how can they not have to put the ingredients on cleaning products?
They don't even have to put the active ingredient. It's only that as a consumer, people go, oh, it's got blah, blah, blah in it. And so they've taught us over the years of what active ingredients are apparently going to clean your home and make your home free of all the germs and, sterile, which is a whole nother topic on itself because I don't believe in that either. So, but yes, they don't even have to put the active. If you look at your Mr. Sheen bottle, you will find nothing written on there about ingredients at all. Your Jif bottle is hilarious when you turn that over and look at what the ingredients listing says. It actually tells you this lovely little story about how the ingredients... What does it say? It says
actively clean your house and
it doesn't. Yeah, it tells you this beautiful little story of like a fairy tale of how it cleans your home with the fragrance that they've included, and I don't know. It's hilarious when you're at the supermarket next. Go and look at the Jif bottle and turn it over to the ingredients. You'll have a chuckle. But I know we've moved on to laundry now. But anyway. Your cleaning products are a minefield of toxins. And again, both of us used to stand in the shower with our domestos. Oh my God, it makes me creepy.
Yeah, we've all been there, right?
Squirt the shower out, wash it down while we're inside it, gagging, and now I'm like, oh my God, I would rather stick pins in my eyes than stand in the shower with domestos.
Probably be more comfortable.
Probably. So cleaning products are definitely huge in the whole toxic environment. not only that for ourselves, but we've got to remember everything washes down the drain. So every time we flush the toilet with one of those blue toilet things in it, or when we're standing in the shower with our bleach and domestos, it's all washing down the drain. When we're washing our sink in the vanity, it's all going down the drain. Brushing our teeth, it's all going down the drain. Washing your hands. No hand wash should smell like the fragrance of the ocean breeze. Like, what even is that? Or no hand wash should be pink or green or whatever other color is out there. It's all adding to that toxic load that your body then has to try and process and detox from every day. And there's no amount of saunaing that is going to detox our bodies from this amount of chemical overload that we're putting onto ourselves every single day. And it's so easy to change it. It's actually easier than food.
I often say to people, like, let's think about those first couple hours in the morning. Like, the amount of chemicals that we put on ourselves traditionally, it's ridiculous, right? Yeah. And like, that's just our ongoing repeated behavior. That's our lifestyle for those first couple hours of the day. Get up, not drinking water, maybe have a coffee, go straight into the shower, right? Chemicals on the head, chemicals on the armpits, in the air, we're breathing it in, right? We're drinking unfiltered water, it's coming through there too, right? Then we're going outside, we're driving to work, maybe we're getting some fumes from, like, it's a bombardment.
Yeah. And it's so easy to get overwhelmed when you think about it like that. But our job is to, and I'm sure yours is too, is to try and just strip it back and take the overwhelm out, because if you start getting overwhelmed, then stress starts coming in, and then stress is just as bad as all the toxins as well. So I think that it's really important to just take a breath and go, you know what? Next time I go shopping, I'm just going to make a couple of changes. I'm not going to try and ditch everything overnight, because that's just way too overwhelming for me. I think the first thing that I would definitely start with is deodorant. Change your deodorant as soon as you can, because that is just so toxic going under your armpits, and the amount of breast cancer and, you know, your lymph nodes are right there. Like, we need to be just getting rid of toxic deodorant straight away. And I would say the second thing to look at is your cleaning products. Like Tracy said, it's so easy to change it over. I think that people just don't know where to start. So lucky for everyone, we have a great blog that will teach people how to start. But there's so many resources out there now that you just need a couple of ingredients and you can change over your cleaning products.
If you have bicarb soda, like bicarbonate soda and white vinegar in your home, you could actually clean the vast majority, probably all your home, with white vinegar and bicarb soda. If you have Castile Soap, bonus. If you have essential oils, bonus. But white vinegar and bicarb soda, you will clean your entire home. You can clean your windows with vinegar and water. You can clean your shower and grout and tiles and floors with vinegar and water. I just in one of my children's bedrooms, hers is the only room in the home that seems to get condensation on the windows. And it's winter at the moment as we're recording this, and the condensation is really bad in her bedroom, and there was a bit of mold in there, and white vinegar kills mold. It kills mold spores, it kills mold. It's proven, it's scientific, it's all of those things you don't need. And in fact, Choice came out and said all those exit mold brands, I don't even know the names of half of them. I know there was one called Exit Mold, but there's others out there. Not one of the ones that they tested killed mold. All it did was bleach the mold. And yeah, so this was Choice magazine. It was a couple of years ago now. You can Google it. It's still relevant. So none of them bleached mold. So when you're standing in your shower, you've cleaned none of them killed mold. They bleached it. So you're in your shower and you've looked like you've got rid of the mold in your shower. In actual fact, you're just breathing in now bleached mold. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's just now bleached. So white vinegar and clove essential oil were the two that they said killed the mold. Yes, it doesn't bleach it. So you still might have some black silicon, but it's dead. And so, yeah, I washed the kids, my daughter's bedroom window, killed it all, got rid of it all, hot soapy water, and then sprayed it all down with white vinegar and wiped it all down and made sure there was no residue of white vinegar left, because, white vinegar can be erosive. So erosive, not sure the right word there. But anyway, I didn't want it left on the paintwork on the windowsill. So I wiped it all down and it was all gone. But it's so easy. White vinegar and bicarb. Sprinkle some bicarb around your toilet bowl and get the brush out. Like, we've forgotten to use the toilet brush because everyone just squirts bleach around the toilet bowl. But, it's the same with your vanity and kitchen sink and bathroom sinks and bathtubs. A bit of Castile soap. Soap kills germs.
Yeah.
We know that. We've been taught that over the past 2 years especially. Soap kills germs. Go back to using hot soapy water. It's simple. It's cheap, really cheap. White vinegar is really cheap. And bicarb isn't one of the cheapest ingredients you'll get. And yeah, you can clean your entire home. And it works, people, I promise.
I got home from being in Melbourne for a couple of days last night, and we're moving house this weekend. My fiance had been cleaning the house, and we're in Queensland, so there's been a bit of mold over the last few months. And I got home last night and I opened the door and it was just like this waft of like white vinegar smell. And I was like, babe, you've been cleaning some mold, hey? She's like, yeah, there was mold behind all of the picture frames.
Yeah. You guys have copped it up there with the mold. I've been following along. It's horrendous.
Yeah.
It's been crazy. Yeah. There's like mold just growing on everything.
So bad for us. Hey, mold. Oh my God.
Yeah. Super, like really effective. And it's quite subtle as well. Like, you might just have like congestion, or, it shows up differently for different people, but
in my daughter's bedroom, she's had a cough for a few weeks. And since I've cleaned her bedroom, which was only last weekend, this past week, I haven't heard her cough at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. So, okay, we've talked a bit about cleaning products. So how about like in like if we're washing our clothes, is it similar kind of things that we can make to put in the washing machine, or is it slightly different?
You can definitely DIY your own laundry powder. We have got a free recipe on our website if someone does want to make some, which is super easy to make.
It's about 4 ingredients. It's really
super easy. I tend to buy one online, just one through our doTERRA account, but the other one in the supermarket would be probably the Beeswax one. So if you do want to buy one, there's still a couple of options around. But the thing that you need to look out for are just, again, those artificial fragrances. If you just keep thinking like that, it makes things really simple. You don't really need to worry about all the other ingredients, because if it's got fragrance in there and it stinks, ditch it. Go to one that is all natural.
The thing with fragrances is it's the phthalates and the other ingredients that form that fragrance that transfers. So we're washing our clothes. I used to use Radiant. I used to use Radiant. I used to be proud of the fact that my clothes smelled like this, Radiant smell.
And then cuddly.
And then, I never used to use fabric softener. But anyway, I used to use Radiant or Omo, and because that's what my mum used. Yeah. So this is what, so I bought the same that Mum bought.
Sorry if you can hear that in the background too.
That is my washing machine going. What happens on your clothes transfers onto your skin. So we're wearing our clothes all day long, and all day long those fragrances are transferring onto our skin and then into our system. And here's a good story. So go back to my 19-year-old daughter, how we said I can't always control what they use in their home, in their bedrooms. So she comes out the other day, smells like, I don't even know, it was a fragrance of some kind, probably some Victoria's Secret thing or something.
Right.
Cringy. And she gave me a really big cuddle. And I kid you not, all day, I actually had to say to her that night, if you've put fragrances onto your body, I actually don't want you to cuddle me, because all day I could not get rid of the smell of my body. So loud. And can you actually hear that?
It's barely coming through.
Okay, because I can turn the washing machine off.
No, I can't.
Yeah, but all day, right through until I showered. I had to go and have a shower. I couldn't, it was in my hair. She'd given me this huge big cuddle, and it was on my clothes. And so it made me really, again, awake to this transference of fragrances and transference of products that we allow. So I think about it with babies. And again, I'm not judging anyone, because I was the mum. fragrance, perfume on my neck, cuddling my babies, transferring it all onto them, wondering, maybe why they were crying or like, and I still do get heavily motion sick from cars and stuff. And Mum used to wear this perfume in the car, and we would all be pulling along, Dad, I'm going to be sick, Dad, I'm going to be sick. And it was always a fragrance. She learned to then not wear it whilst we were in the car, and she would put it on later. But I wonder if, sometimes when I was cuddling my children, maybe they were reacting to the fragrance I was wearing and having negative reactions in those sorts of things. And you think, this transference thing. So washing powders that are heavily fragranced, like Jo said, don't worry about the other ingredients, because if fragrance is in there, you don't want it anyway.
Yeah, there's a really powerful theme there, Tracey, with like it's hanging around on us and it's going into our system.
Yeah.
But you touched on it before as well, like if it's going down the toilet or if it's going down the shower, it's going into the natural environment as well. So it's not just having a negative impact on us, but it's then flowing into wherever the grey water is going, you know, and that environment there. And these things don't, you put essential oils on, and I find that after like half an hour, you can barely smell it anymore. Like it's gone. But these unnatural fragrances, they don't disappear, and they may get to a point where we can't smell them, but they're still lingering in the environment, But
there's ingredients in perfume that is made to stick to your skin. So it's made to stay there all day. And I once would have thought, wow, that's awesome. Like I get to have this perfume on me all day. Now my mind goes, what's in there to make it stick to me all day? Yeah.
And that's how they market it too. Like, your long-lasting fragrance.
Just pause for a minute.
Jo's freaking out about the washing machine. It's really stressing her out.
That's all good.
We just let Jo disappear to sort the washing machine out. But another good one is laundry soaker, is your laundry soaker. And again, little kids, babies, I used to soak all my washing, and I still do soak a lot of washing. That is super easy. All you need for laundry soaker, and you can find this in the supermarket, is washing soda. It will be right down on your bottom shelf. It's a white powder. It's normally in a plastic bag, which unfortunately, with red writing on it, red and green writing, I think.
Yep.
You can buy it in bulk if you're online shopping. You can definitely get it in bulk. But washing soda is hands down the best, active ingredient, and you'll find it is the active ingredient in a lot of those nappy sands and laundry soakers.
Sodium bicarbonate. So if you mix it with hot water, it activates the natural bleaching agent in the washing soda. So really, really great for bleaching things naturally.
And cheaper than what you will find some of those branded ones.
Oh, I have a story. Sorry, I feel like we're rambling, but do you know that laundry soakers are often filled with crushed up bones to make them bulkier?
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah. So if you look at the Coles laundry soaker, they have a little disclaimer on the back of their little plastic bucket thing. Careful consideration has been made to remove all traces of bones. Like something like that. It's maybe that's not word for word, but something like that. And we fully investigated it because we were like, what's going on here? And it's very, very common for laundry soakers to be bulked up with crushed up dehydrated bones, essentially.
So like cows.
So we love bone broth, but we just don't love it in our laundry soaker.
Laundry soaker from Coles is not vegan.
No, but I mean, that was just one example. I'm sure that there's many brands that have it in there.
Yeah.
That is insane. Like you don't think of that when you think of laundry soaker.
No, you do not. No.
So super easy. The other one that I want to talk about is candles, because I don't know.
Yes, let's please talk about candles, man. Oh,
so many candles. I was a big one. I loved my candles. I used to light them after dinner and get rid of the smell in my home. And now I realize I was just putting the smell in my home.
Headaches. No sleeping, nausea.
Yeah, so many issues. Again, it's that fake fragrance. We just keep coming back to this fragrance if we're picking on that today. So, but it's because it's in all these products. And like you said before, it's just layering this toxic load. we're just layering it up until our bodies just have had enough, and something happens then. For me, it was my thyroid. If I kept layering, it just made my body struggle even more, and I could not process it. My thyroid was already struggling, and as I was layering all these toxic things in and on to my body, it just made me worse. And now that I don't do that, I'm just a totally different person. And people with skin issues, again, that fragrance, that layering, the toxic ingredients, the preservatives, the additives, all the other things, and we just keep layering it all up. It's not doing anyone or the environment any good at all.
It's quite hard to find all natural candles. I mean, you go to a market stall and there's people with soy candles, which are a better option. Don't get me wrong, but then there's either artificial fragrance in there, or they'll say that they've used a natural fragrance or essential oils. But if it was 100% pure essential oils, the problem is that sometimes they can be flammable and catch on fire. So you need to be careful when DIYing your own candles if using all natural essential oils, because you could have a fire problem. So I guess if you're still buying candles, really do dig deep into the ingredients that they're using and what mostly, because mostly they'll just be using a soy candle. But as I said, that's generally fine. So definitely dig into the fragrance.
Beeswax candles and stuff are great. Like beeswax candles with a wooden stick.
Yeah.
Great. Like I having a bath and you want to light some candles and, have that blissful experience. There's definitely options, but I love my diffuser. I pop the oils in. If now that's just my routine. I've got some candles in case the power goes out. And that's really all I have. Some tea light candles and some things that I could pop around if there was a power outage. But other than that, I don't have any candles. I use my diffusers because I was only using candles for the smell. So I swapped those out, and that was a 1 second swap. You just went swap, and they just switched in. And I have my diffusers almost set up in the same place as I would have had my candles. And I've got multiple diffusers around the home, but that's super easy. Just make sure you are, again, just using those pure oils, because you don't want a synthetic or adulterated essential oil, which, here's a fact for you, you might not know this. There is more bergamot essential oil sold than there is bergamot grown. So clearly, there is a lot of adulterated essential oils out there and synthesized essential oils, and there's no regulations on it. So I choose wisely what brand you are choosing, because it's not a very regulated industry, unfortunately.
Yeah, really good point. And I like what you're saying. It's like, look, beeswax candles are great. Find a good quality beeswax candle, forget about the scent, and if you want the scent, just diffuse it.
Yeah.
Or if you're in the bath, I'm the same. Kristen got me into nice baths with candles and things. I'm all for it. Like, I love that, But I just put the essential oils in the water. And that kind of gets going as it is. And then just some nice beeswax candles. Admittedly, beeswax candles seem to be quite expensive.
Yes.
They do kind of last well. And
and that's the thing too. Like, I've always been, I say we because we're sisters, but I've always been, and I've always taught my kids, sometimes you are better to buy a better product, I have always said, buy once rather than buy multiple times. And if we're buying cheap and nasty, generally it's cheap and nasty for a reason. Not saying that all cheap things are nasty either, because that's definitely not true. But if we're buying cheap and nasty, then we're expecting cheap and nasty results. So choose wisely. Sometimes treat and use that as like a beautiful treat or a gift to yourself, a beautiful beeswax candle that's going to last a long time, and you enjoy this amazing bath experience with it, rather than just the cheap synthetic candle that you light every 5 minutes and it's cheap and nasty.
You just said cancel
candle.
Cancel the cheap candle.
Cancel the cheap crap.
I was thinking cancer when you said that, but it's just, you only have to look at the stats of just the health of people and all the diseases and awful, horrible things going around, and you think, would it be different if we could choose a different way? We
Mm.
could choose a more natural way. Would the cancer rates be as high as they are today? Would the diseases be as high as they are today?
Infertility is huge.
Yeah.
And so it's huge. It's a struggle. Infertility is I think most women struggle with infertility at some stage. And I can't remember the exact stat, but I did remember reading it recently. And one of the biggest reasons for that is endocrine disrupting chemicals.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the biggest endocrine disrupting chemical you will find is fragrance.
Yeah.
I can't remember if we talked about it in our last conversation we had, but there's the book Detoxify or Die by Leslie Kyneton, I think, and she explains quite eloquently in that book the process with which our body goes through on a physiological level when these chemicals, and fragrance being one of them, coming into the body, and how our body has to handle that. Like, it only has a natural way to deal with an unnatural synthetic chemical, and the natural way is slower, and it can't do as much of the work as quickly as the crap is coming in. Right. And our body has various protective mechanisms, one of which is storing some of these chemicals wrapped in fat in the subcutaneous layer of the skin. There's other things, you know, it can go through the renal system, etc. But our body can only do so much. And to what you were talking about earlier, it gets to the point where it just builds and builds and builds. And we have all these chemicals in the morning, and then we have the candles and all these other things that we're talking about. And it's no surprise that, as you said, Jo, like, cancer rates are as high as they are at the moment, or even something a bit less intense than that, like chronic inflammatory conditions like arthritis. There's 4.5 million Australians that are diagnosed with arthritis right now. That's a massive percentage of the population. And that's only the people diagnosed. Forget about the people who have it but haven't been diagnosed, right? Or are on their way to being diagnosed. And we're in chemical environments, and then we're putting chemical foods into our body. You know, we're the third generation of junk food eaters now. And so no wonder infertility is as high as it is, you know, because the female body is not in the right state to be harboring a child.
But nor is the male body.
Yes. No, totally. Totally.
Yeah, like, no, but I wasn't meaning to, like, nor is the male body. It's a thing for male infertility as well. Is just as serious. And I think the biggest thing is we forget that, because the women carry the baby, so then we not blame the women, but it's the focus is heavily on women. But actually, we need to focus on men as well. And I don't have sons, but Jo's got a young son, and the statistics for him to raise up to be able to help with childbearing is really harsh, really scary.
25 kids have eczema, and you've got more. There's more children between 0 to 5 with eczema than there is adults. So that's the stats coming through now. So our little kids are more unhealthy today than any generation in our past.
Yep, totally. I heard recently that there's children being born with plaque in their arteries already. Right?
Well, I mean, this is going to scare people, but the average baby is born with 200 toxic chemicals in their umbilical cord. And that's a study that's been done, and when they tested umbilical cords. It's a bit old, that study now. So like, imagine what it is today.
I think though, it is scary. I mean, my partner is pregnant right now, and so this stuff's really front of mind for us. However, it's an opportunity for us to say, okay, well, how can we take a step in the other direction from that? If that's where we are now, like, okay, that's the situation, so let's do something about it. And that's why I love the conversation we're having right now, because this is really empowering stuff. And
that's it, Alex. Like Trace said before, the amount of products now coming out, even just to the woolies, is so much more than it was when we started this journey 7, 8, 9 years ago. And so you vote with your dollar. You get to choose what laundry powder you put in your trolley. You get to choose what deodorant you put in. You get to choose. We all have a choice, and you can choose to do it, or you can choose to not. You can, and the more of us that go, nah, actually not keen, the better.
22 years ago, when you had your child, they would bath your child in the beautiful smelling
Johnson &
Johnson
Johnson.
& Johnson.
I got that 8 years ago.
And so, you know, you went home with your little pack of baby powder and stuff. And I used cloth nappies, and I was considered a crazy person. So something in my brain, even 22 years ago, must have been like hippie woo woo. I was already halfway there, and now I'm full blown. Crunchy mum. Is that what we're called? Crunchy mums. So
what? I've never heard of
crunchy mum. They're the hippie woo woo crunchy mums.
Right, okay.
So, but yeah, I used cloth nappies. They were probably soaked in nappies, so don't get me wrong, I was not doing it perfect. But even today, like, you think of all these things that are going on kids and, you know, kids' bodies, and I'm pretty sure it's not ideal. One of the things I did want to discuss, though, is we haven't touched on the kitchen. And if you can think about frying pans for a second.
Yes.
Now, this is taking away, not talking about fragrances anymore. We've kind of gone down a little different path here, but I just wanted to touch on this because frying pans are, well, used probably daily in most families' homes. And if you're using any type of frying pan with a non-toxic coating on it, then
non-toxic,
non-slip, non-stick. I can't even think of the right words because it's been so long since I've used one. But consider the next time you need to replace that, and for switching it out to something a bit more robust, like a cast iron frying pan. Solid Techniques is our brand. We don't get it. This is not affiliated. None of these brands are affiliated, by the way. We don't get any kickbacks or anything. But Solid Techniques is the brand of choice. You won't find a better frying pan, I don't reckon, on the planet. Or at least go ceramic and make sure it's glass coated ceramic, not a painted kind of toxic ceramic. So there's variations there. But yeah, your cast iron or your wrought iron cast iron, we've had ours now for 4 or 5 years or something. I used to replace my frying pan every odd 12 months and pay $150 per pan, thinking I was getting this amazing, I don't know, frying pan that was meant to, and it told me it was meant to last for years. You could see the coating start to wear off over time. And and I've had this frying pan for years and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Anyway, think about your frying pans in your kitchens.
It's a really good point. There's an incredible movie called Dark Waters. It has Mark Ruffalo in it. He's an Aussie actor, I think. Anyway, awesome movie. And it's about the company that created Teflon.
Yes.
And it goes through the whole story and how they this detective initially came across Teflon because it was being washed into a river, and these cows that were drinking out of the river were all getting sick and all going crazy. And it went through the whole process of Teflon and what it was originally designed for. And then they found that it was non-stick. So they started putting it in pans. And then the people that were living in the area where the Teflon factory was all started getting cancer, and all these things were going on.
Yeah.
And they explored how they created Teflon. And they talked about it's like carbon particles on top of carbon particles, which makes it so strong. And they actually found that it was so strong that it will never break down. Teflon will never break down. So if it's been scraped off the pan and it's going into your food and it's going into your body, it is there permanently.
Yes, I have heard that too. And yeah, it's the chemical. Yeah, it never, ever, ever leaves your system. You can never detox from it.
Yeah. And it's the same, once it's in nature, if it's wherever it might be, if there's some contaminated dirt, it cannot be removed. It will not break down. Right.
Who's the person that thinks this is a good idea to put it onto a frying pan? Who comes, how? It just blows my mind. How does this happen?
Yeah, I think without us three getting on the soapbox, because I think we all could, I think I don't know, commonly, same with cleaning products as an example, we talk about Agent Orange, these kind of things. Oh, it has this property, this particular chemical. It'll be good for that. And then it just, there's no legislation to go through in terms of doing long-term tests and these kind of things. And then it's only down the track we find out, that's probably wasn't good for us.
Whoopsies.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Sorry, guys.
Oh gosh.
Which is a
But
real
like
shame.
I said before, we have a choice. Now you've just heard this information, you get to choose. Do you keep using your Teflon pan or do you change to a cast iron or something a bit, less toxic?
Yeah. And I like your point, Tracy, as well. Like, just invest in a good pan.
Yeah.
Like it's a good investment. You're going to actually love cooking with a better quality pan anyway. And if we can avoid from something like Teflon, I think that's really, really important.
We bought our daughter last year for Christmas 2 of the Solid Techniques frying pans because one day she might move out of home. But she's going to have those for the rest of her life. Like literally, she will never have to buy a frying pan again. What a great gift for starters. And they're actually not that expensive.
No.
I found, like I said, I had paid $150 for a frying pan before, and it lasted me maybe 12 months. It's now sitting in landfill somewhere, which horrifies me. And when I have paid the same price for a Solid Techniques one, which will never end up in landfill because it's multi-generational. It will just keep going and going.
The other thing, just be careful with your slow cookers as well. Often they're very lead-based. So you can buy lead test kits. So they're just like a little swipe pad and you just swipe it on and see if there's lead in your product or not. Really, that's probably the only way you're going to find out. But slow cookers are hard to get. Often they're non-stick now. And
I struggled.
You just bought one recently. And there's not too many lead-free slow cooker crock pot thingies either. So just sort of keep an eye out for that as well. Yeah.
Really good point. Anything else in the kitchen that we should be aware of?
Obviously dishwashing liquid and your hand wash and all of that jazz. But
your spray,
your spray and white. But just make those simple swaps, and then just when you think about it, just go, I wonder if that's toxic free, and just do a quick Google search. Like, just empower yourself enough with this knowledge so that you are open to learn more. And you don't need to do it all at once. We're still swapping things over years down the track. We're still learning. But it's just a journey. It's a fun journey to be on. I'm so much healthier than I ever was before. Like, I feel like, 41 years later and I'm finally healthy. Like, it's great.
I don't want to leave my legacy behind of someone who's destroyed the planet. Like, I want my legacy to my children to be that they know how to understand to grow vegetables. They know how to take care of themselves better. They know how to be proactive in their healthcare. They know how to, and then they hopefully will pass that down to their children and grandchildren and et cetera, et cetera. And that's what I want my legacy to be. I want to have left this world behind, having empowered as many people as I can, starting with my own family, and to live a cleaner life and a healthier life, and then hopefully they can then build on that even, and then grow, continue to live these empowered lives of their own and not rely on a broken medical system and a broken world essentially out there, because we've empowered ourselves enough to do the things that we can do in our own homes. That's what I want my legacy to be.
I think that's a beautiful way to bring this conversation to an end. In fact, it's coming back full circle to where we started, and that is, it's that proactive approach to our health, right? We've just had a really empowering conversation around taking some chemicals out of the home. And for those who have been listening, you might have already done a lot of this, and that is fucking awesome. High five to you. And if there's some things that you can change, as Jo said, take it easy, one thing at a time. Take your time. And now that you have this knowledge, you can do something about it. And sometimes in health, like, you learn something and then like it gets really hard and you're like, I wish I didn't know this, but now I know this, but I think there's a beauty in that, because again, it's empowering, and then we can start to be proactive with what we have in our home environment, what we're putting on in our body. One last thing I was thinking just then was, like, if it's going on our skin or we're breathing it, like, question what's in it. Just have a look, right?
Yeah. You don't need to make a big deal about it. Just flip it over, see if you can find the ingredients. If you can't, red flag. If you can and you can't read them, red flag, although that's not always true when it comes to cleaning products because they're big long names. But that just gives you the empowerment to be like, oh, I actually don't know if they're good or bad. I'm just going to whip my own cleaning spray up.
Yep, totally. And shout out to if anyone wants to make their own things out of doTERRA oils, get in contact with you guys.
Thank you.
No, I'm all for it. I mean, we do this, we do it here at our house, and like I said, it's really empowering to do this kind of stuff. You just know that you're doing something better for the environment, better for yourself, you know. And
we've just created, I don't know if we can give ourselves a shameless plug, but we have just created a program called DIY Made Easy. And it's only $49, you get lifetime access. And we created it for those people that like do want to make a change, but just don't know where to start. And it's super, super simple program. All recipes, full ebook, little tutorial video for each recipe that we've fastened up. So it only goes for about 30 seconds. And yeah, it's just a real, like, it's sort of something that we wished we could have had right at the start to be like, where do I start? Oh, here you go. Here it is on a silver platter. So yeah, DIY Made Easy. You can find that on our website.
And what is your website?
Oh, Additive-Free-Lifestyle.com.
Awesome. And you guys are on Instagram as well?
And Facebook, Additive-Free Lifestyle on all of it.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much for coming on. This has been a really, we're recording this on a Friday, and it's really kicked off my Friday well. So thank you guys so much.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
It's been a pleasure. Yeah, I'll talk to you guys soon. Ciao.
See ya.
Bye.